Hello everyone, welcome to another video. This video I'm going to explain about AWS Management Console and a little bit walkthrough on the console, and also I will be explaining about user management, roles, policies, and walking through how to launch an EC2 instance, and also I'm going to install an Apache on it. And before we begin, please subscribe my channel if you haven't already. And just in advance, thanks for watching this video. This video is a little longer, but this will give you like a lot of information. Okay, welcome once again to my YouTube channel. Today we are doing a walkthrough in AWS Management Console. So before we begin it, if you don't have an AWS account, I would recommend to create an AWS account. And if you don't know how to create an AWS account, please watch my other video, and I will post the video link in the description. Follow that to create a free AWS account, and once you have this AWS account, this video will make more sense for you. Okay, so once you log into AWS console, AWS Management Console, let me call it as that way, you will be able to see these options up here. And let me introduce this a little bit here. You can click on the AWS services and you can see all those options up here, and also you can do some favorites on it, and or you can say, if you do this in a star mark up here, and that will become as a favorite. That is something you can think about doing it. And there are a lot of other things. You can see it over here, all services. You can click on it and that will show you what are the services AWS currently provided: AppSync, Artifact, Athena, AWS Audit Manager, various other things, right? So before we begin it, I want you to, or I would like to explore a little bit about the credentials up here. So for creating a user account or user management, you can click on the IAM option up here, or you can click here and go to your security credentials. Over here, that will show you like user groups. You can create users and roles, and you can see what are the existing policies up here. And various other options. If you want, you can explore a little more on it, right? Okay, so now I'm going to create a user groups. Of course, I'm a developer, right? So I'll just say it as this user group's name is development group. So, and if you want, then I can add a username. So I can, if I already have some users, I can search the users up here. Currently I don't have any users. We will create some users in few seconds, but also in case, and if you want to apply common policies to that existing the development group which you're creating it, you can click over here and then do it, or you can say you can edit this, and or you can copy this and create a new ones. For this one, so I'm going to say I'm not going to add any policies at this point, just creating a blank group. So I created the group. It's called as development group right now, and you already noticed that there is no users are on this group, but let's create a couple of other users on it. So the username is like, I'm going to create one for me, and this will show you like what are the what are the credentials type this particular user is required. Do you need an access key and programmatic access, or do you want have an access to the AWS console access? This will, if you click on this one, you can set a password for this. So let's assume that the whoever is creating this username is as an admin on the AWS console in your company. So he will be setting a temporary password for you. And there is an option up here. If you are an admin, I would recommend you to check this checkbox. What does this checkbox do? So when this user is logging in, it will ask you to change the password as soon as they log in. That's the way the password known by only this particular user. You can create a custom set password, and there is a for now I will just say trainer. I set a password up here, and also I'll say that I can. Okay, that's strange. You need to have an you need to have an exclamation sign. There is a password rules, and then also I said that I need an access key and secret key, which I need to be use it for programmatically, right? So in the program, in case in your application, like let's put an example, like if you have a Java applications and you want to drop some files to S3 bucket, and you probably need to use an access key and secret key. Of course, there are other various mechanisms you can use it over there, but I will explain that all later. But at this point, like just keep in mind that there is an access key and secret key. Also, you can say, yeah, you can opt it for this particular user. Once you click on this next permissions, you can say, do you want this user is to add it to the development group? I'm just going to add that to the user that group. Let's go to the tags. I will say this user maybe I'll just type is developer. Review, and then you can see the type and then tags which we created. Sometimes the key tags will be used for to identify but this user belongs to which team, right? In your company has various teams, and then probably this is something you can think about it. Create user. Okay, I created the user. This is a trick. You need to download the CSV file. The CSV file will have the access key and secret key, which will be shown only once, right? So for that, you need to make sure that you need to have access to this particular key if you want to use this to connect to the S3 bucket and programmatically, right? And this is another URL. This is the URL you will be sending to the particular user. The username was this, and see, and it's asked me to change the password. Oh, right? So I changed the password, but if I look at right now, so I didn't have any access to do any of these operations, right? So I won't be able to see the billing dashboard. I'll see whether I can see it. You don't need a permission. You need a permission, right? I just created the user and added that user to a development group. That doesn't mean that I can access any of the services for my user, right? So example, like if you know EC2, right? So I can go to the dashboard, but it will be saying that it shows all the errors. This is because I don't have an access to that particular the particular user doesn't have access to any of the services. So now how do we give an access to that, right? Let's see. Sometimes so if I click on this user, or I can give an access to the user groups or a particular user. So for this cases, I'm just going to edit this user, and then I'm going to attach some policies on it, right? Okay, so add permissions, attach existing policies directly. So I'm going to give an EC2 access. Okay, Amazon EC2 full access. I'm just going to give a full access right now. If you want to, you can just specifically exclude some of these ones, but right now I'm just going to say I added that Amazon EC2 full access to that particular user. Add permissions. Okay, so unexpected error. Okay, so it looks like that was still working it, but looks like something else is messed up. But let's see whether this solves the problem. If I go and refresh it, okay, so the errors are gone. Sometimes when you log into the system and you see bunch of red marks in everywhere, that means your account doesn't have enough permission to access those services. Now I do have a complete access on it. I can see how many EC2 instances are working on it, whether is there any. Right now you know that this is a fresh account. I don't have any EC2 instance or any of the services are already spinned up, right? So now let's go back to the usage one more time, and also you can create a roles on it. You can create a role with an access on it. So that means if you are programmatically, if you want to access an application, like example, if you want to have an access to the S3 bucket with if you want to have an access to AWS service, if you want to have an access to that S3 bucket programmatically, you can use a role to connect to the S3 bucket programmatically. So there are couple of different ways. You can say it's been you can programmatically connect to the services by a couple of different ways, right? So attach permission to policies. So I am saying, so I'm creating a role with S3 access, right? So I'll say type is developer role, team is engineering 1, maybe something like that. Okay, maybe let's just put it as engineering for now, and I can say that what is the role name and want to create it, right? So I'll just developer POC role. So this particular role has an access to completely Amazon S3 full access. Once you create it, you can see the developer role up here, and you need to copy this. This is what you're going to use it on your program to connect to the S3 bucket to drop some files. So this is another way of accessing. So now we know that you can use an access key and secret key, or you can access the role name to connect to that particular services, right? If I look at the S3, now I just wanted to show you one more thing. So this is the user which we created. I'm going to access an S3. I'll show you the difference. And S3 is we didn't give a permission to S3 to this user. We give a permission to the roles, right? So there is a, in case if you want to go back and edit this users, and then you can see another permissions. Then you can attach an existing policies. Look at the S3 the same way. I'm just going to add a permission to the specific user. Different companies and different teams do it different ways, but so now if I refresh it, I should be able to there is a gone. So I'm able to access the S3 buckets, right? So now we can create an S3 bucket right now. So that is something which we are going to do it. But right before that, and you can create, I just want to mention that you can create a custom policy also up here, right? You can create a policy, choose a service. Let's see, S3. You can say, you can create a custom policies, like whatever the policy we already added to the existing uses, those are the policies that's been provided by Amazon or AWS. But right now I just want to say that I want to create a policy. That policy has to have only access to the read permission to a particular user, and then I can say specify the resources. If I have an S3 bucket, and then that bucket needs to have only the access has been provided by only for the read access. So this is the way you can need to create a custom policy and then do it. Okay, I'm not going to do it right now, but please feel free to explore it. So there are so many policies are already available there. In case if you're creating an RDS instance, you need to have an RDS access. Sometimes you can modify this to say that you can copy and then create a policy and then say remove some of these options. Saying example like deleting the RDS instance, you maybe need to remove it for some specific users, right? So that we don't want the users to go ahead and delete the direct database directly. So some companies or some people or some account has a different way of doing that, or maybe there is some approval process and things like that. So probably that is something we need to consider it. There are various things like that. Maybe the deletion process is something which will be um, which will be something which will be where we will be creating some of the policies or custom policies. Um, okay, and there are some bunch of the reports you can see it. I think this is not something the developers normally used to look at it, but you need to see that in organization activity, service control policies, like there are a bunch of reports. The higher up teams in the AWS can do it. There is a mobile factor authentications for the root users. In case if you want to authenticate a user to particular mobile, you can just do that as well. So this is something is recently AWS is started recommending it. I haven't seen this for like 3-4 years before, I think started seeing it. um, Currently there is one user group, one user and 3 roles I created it. So if I look at that, there is a these are 2 roles I created earlier, but um, and also some of the common informations like what is your AWS account ID. So all your informations like if you go to the roles, you should be able to see that everything starts with an account number on it. This is your AWS account number. Sometimes people will say, or somebody, if somebody asks you what is your AWS account number, so this is normally the account number for your AWS account. And so if you're no longer using it, there is a delete role options up here. Also when you go to the users, you can even delete that users by clicking up here. And also anything, whatever you do it, you can just delete it up here. So this is mostly the user management or user groups in AWS. Now I would like to go back to some of the services and show you some of the services which we can explore it. First, I would like to go to an EC2 instance. Okay, the EC2 instance is mostly it's used for the servers like elastic containers, and then this is the way the dashboard looks like. It will show you the EC2 dashboard, and there is a global view. This is something recently implemented it. So this will show you how many instances you are running it on, or what is this configuration on each regions. Previously we had a difficult time to identify, like example, like if you are on an Africa region and you spin up some services and then you completely forget about it, and then you move to a different region and then working on that one, so people doesn't know that there are some instance or some services were already available on that particular regions. So that will add up some cost on it. So I think this is one of the recent or good feature. I would think that in high level people can evaluate how many instances are running on each regions, right? So now let's go back here in the EC2 dashboard. When you have it, so where do we select the regions? That's something I just want to show you. So this is where you create the regions, and you need to make sure that you are on a right region. Sometimes what happened is like you look at some instance and running, that there is an instance running on your applications, but you don't see it up here, and then you completely get freak out. Oh my god, where is my instance, right? So that is because your region was not correctly selected. So this is something you need to make sure that you are on the right region for to view your EC2 instances. And events, and then you can click on the tags, and then there are limits also, like you can I think you can specify how many configurations and some of the limits, and then you can see what are the existing instance types or instances are currently on it, and then instance type. So there are so many new features up here right now, but if you look at that easy to sorry instance types, you can see there is a nano, micro, and small, and T2 small, large, and then various things, and you can see those configurations too. And this is a good thing. Like you'll see that how many if you spin up a T2 nano instance for EC2 instance, you need to calculate that this is what your price is going to be. So normally this is into 750 hours. It's $4.35 is what you going to be charged on every month on your account if you have a T2 Nano instance are running on your AWS account. Of course, there are free for a year, but just make sure that you don't spin up any bigger instance. Like example, like this is a $4 1.28 oh sorry US dollars on it. So example, like in case if you run this particular server into 750, so you get almost like $3,000 bill on every month. Just make sure that you accidentally don't spin up an EC2 instance if you don't need it. But if you need it, of course that's a different story. But uh, sometimes in a bigger companies, like you might need a bigger instance for various other purposes. But you can also see the storage type SSD, and then network performance and various other things. You can see it, how many virtual CPUs, and so many other informations, right? And also some of the details you can see it upon the below too. You can see compute and networking, and what is the valid cores, how many threads per core, and then bunch of network informations, what availability zones is going to be, like there is a 2A and 2B. So right now we are on a region US East 2, so it's going to be like 2A and 2B, right? Then there is an IP addresses per interface is 50. Then you can see the storages, it's 3800 GB on it. Accelerators, and then pricing. So this is another on-demand Linux pricing. See, on-demand Windows price is almost double. So just make sure that which instance you are running it. That is important. So there is a launch template. Some company has a create an ensemble easy to launch templates. This will help us to make sure that it's maybe a pre-configured easy to instance, and then it is easy for it is easy for you to spin up an easy to instances from the templates very fast. So there is a spot request. This is something else. So this is like in case you can request for a spot EC2 instance. So that normally comes as a cheap. So normally some companies might have some additional EC2 instance. They want to just give it for a shorter time. So which means that you need to make a request to the spot request, and normally bigger instance you may get it for lower price in a various time frame, right? So sometimes in the C3 large machine will be like we've seen that it's a $4. Sometimes you get it for like $1. This normally helps you to for whenever you do a computations for a bigger for a shorter time. This will be something that helps. Like maybe an hour you need a bigger server, and then you need to do a calculation, some bigger programs you need to run it on every month. So this is something you can look at it. And there is a reserved instances, dedicated host. You can create it on a dedicated host, and capacity reservations. And if you have any reserved instances, you should be able to see it up here. Okay, just in case if I did miss that. AMIs, those are custom machine images. and you have some catalogs up here. These are the ones existing availables in case sometimes company will download that image and then make some customization and re-upload to their account. And you can see the volumes. I will show you, and then you can create a snapshots, like example, like if you want to shut down the EC2 instance for some time, and then but if you want to create a snapshot and keep it on, save it somewhere, and then you can reuse that whenever you spin up another EC2 instance at the later point of time. Security group sections, and you can see elastic IPs. You need to have a key pairs. I'll show you all those things, and then load balancers, target groups. These are the LBs, and then launch configurations for auto scaling. You can set up everything on it. So now let's go back and spin up an EC2 instance. Are we guys ready? Okay. So there is a couple of ways you can launch the instance. One is like you can click over here and launch the instance, or you can go back here on the instances, and then you can create a launch instance up here. So it doesn't matter wherever you're clicking at. You can come back here, and then if you want a specific EC2 instance, you can search it up here, and then you can see an AWS marketplace. So example, like if you want a EC2 instance which has Splunk is already configured, you can look at this one. So there are some of the marketplace are some of the AMIs which are already installed with various other products, right? And then there is a community APIs, community AMIs, and you can choose you can do some filtration by, like, in case if you need a Mac OS ones, you can see some of these Mac OS EC2 instances images, AMIs, right? So I'm just going to do the very basic one right now. It's pretty much the steps are pretty much same, but if I go here, I can click on here, and then you can choose whatever the services, whatever the instance type you want to select it. Let's see, if you want to select a T2 micro instance, if you see this free tier are eligible, oh my god, that's what I'm going to do it, because I need a free tier, right? So but make sure, keep in mind that free tier is, I think, if I remember correctly, that's available only for 1 year after you create the AWS account. So I'm going to use the T2 micro. Of course, we do have a free account. This is a demo purpose, but you need to you can select any of these servers, and then you can just go to the next step. So this is where you select that how many instances you wanted. You can say as many instances you want it. You need to keep in mind that in case if you are running an AWS instance of micro instance for 10 micro instances for 1 month, you will get charged even though it's a free tier. So I'm just going to put as a 1 right now. Purchasing option, support request. So this is where you say that whether you need a support request or a support instance or a dedicated instance. I'm going to say default 1. You can say this is a VPC. Okay, so I just want to show you that when you go to you can see how many VPCs up there, or if you want to create a custom VPCs, or if you want to create a new VPCs, there is an option you can create it. You can create a new VPC with the different IP address blocks and everything. So that is where you do it. And then there is a subnet. There is a 3 default subnets on that particular VPC. I'm going to just use the default one, and then you can say auto assign public API. Do you want to assign a public API? I'm not going to do that right now, but you can enable it, and then that will create a public API for you. But I will show you that in separate different way, that how do you want to attach a public API after, right? Hostname type, I will just do the subnet settings as a default IP name. Then IP4 record, and then placement group and capacity reservations. If you want to do any of these things, please feel free to explore it. So, and also you want to If you have an already an IAM role, you can use that one. So that means that particular only role has access to do anything on this EC2 instance. Shutdown behavior, stop and then do the terminate. Someday if you want to terminate it, once you shut it down, it is automatically will get terminated, if I remember correctly. You can enable the monitoring, tenancy and elastic interfaces, credit specifications, file systems. I'll do the default file system on it. But if you want to create, you can create an EFS, separate elastic file storage, and then you can put the name up here. Right? If you want to see that, you can search for EFS here, and then you can create an EFS and then map that EFS to the EC2 instance. That means all your data, the physical hard drive is going to be on that EFS, right? So okay, so this is other things. Sometimes if you want to run some scripts on that EC2 instance when you load it, this is where you're going to do it. Okay, now let's go back to and select the storage. So default is 8, but you can go up to 30. 30 is free. If you go beyond 30, I think that will get a expense on it. So let's just put like 25 right now and add a tag. So I'll say that I want to add a tag. What is this in? Okay, maybe you'll just put team engineering. Add another tag. What is this environment? Sometimes say dev. Okay, maybe development environment. So if this is a productions, maybe we'll do like that, and then maybe we will say name, or maybe some application name, POC applications, right? And then you can specify a next default one. You can say SSH. Right now there is a warning on it. You can put your custom IP address up here. If you select your my IP, you will see that it's automatically populated. So I would do my IP, but for time being I'll just put it as anywhere. So that means like whoever has the access to that particular EC2 instance, they can create it. So I'm just going to put a name up here, POC security group. Up, I meant POC, right? If you want to add another rule on it, so let's see, I want to put an HTTP on it, so that means that has to be from anywhere. So right now what I did was like I do have a port 22 open, 80 is opened. Launch. Okay, and so show you everything. I'm going to click on the launch. Okay, so this is the trick. So in case if you want to have a separate key pair, there's no key pairs at this point. So I'm going to create a key pair right now. POC and then click on that. That will download the PEM files, right? Make sure that you don't lose this file. So if you lose that file, that means like you won't be able to SSH into that machine by using the keys, right? I'm going to launch the instance. Wonderful. So the instance are now launching it. Okay. Going to click on this view instances. I will come back to the EC2 dashboard. I can see, okay, so I can just put some name on it, POC app. It will say that pending, but let's go for an T2 micro, right? So let's give it a few seconds. Okay, so now it's running on it. So now if you click on that, in case if you want to terminate this instance, This is what the termination of instance, and stop instance is this. And also, like, if you want to create a instance settings, let's see, monitors template. Want to show you that if you want to create an image, you can create an image from this instance. And also, if you want to reboot it, you can reboot it, then connect. So this will show you what's a username on it. So the default username is EC2 user, right? If you are having an SSH client, you can just do like this. I'll show you how to connect it, but before that, let's cancel this. So right, so this application is currently running right now. Okay, before we connect it, let me just quickly show you a few more things. When you click on this, you can see the instance summary, informations, details, what is the size, and various other things. You can see it, what AMI has been using it, and also you can see the security group. And security group, we open 22 and 80. 80 is like an access from anywhere, right? Also, you can see the storage, networking, that will show you that what is the public IP address, and also that will show you what is a VPC, which VPC this instance is, or what is the subnet ID, and what is available stones, and various other things. Storage status checks, you can okay, that's, I think it's kind of initializing at this point. It needs to give some more time. Monitoring, you can enable a monitoring, so I think it's already enabled, so you can see that what's the CPU utilization and various other things on the dashboard. Tags, which we create a couple of tags up here, and then you can see that too, right? And so in case if you want to have an elastic IP, you can create a new elastic IP on it. So just you can add a tag if you want, allocate an EC, and then we create an this one. So but now if you associate elastic IP address to an instance, so we created an public IP address for this EC2 instance. Now let's go back here, and we can see there is one EC2 instance is running. And then now I'm going to okay, so I do have this POC application. So now I'm going to SSH into that machine. Okay, you know what, maybe that change. Okay, I think once when I added that EC elastic IP, it's changed that information. Means if there is a think okay, this will say that you want to connect to that. Okay, added. So now I am on that particular EC2 instance, right? Now what I'm going to do is so now we do have an EC2 instance running on it. Now I want to install Apache on EC2 instance. So that's what we are going to do it right now. Right? Ready? So I'm on this one. I'm on the server right now. Just go to this USU. So there is nothing on this at this point. There is no softwares or no Apache has been installed on this particular server. So I'm going to install I'm going to install an Apache on this particular server. So right before that, I'm just going to do an yum update just to make sure that this particular EC2 instance has everything is already updated on it. Okay, so it has okay. Now I'm going to install sudo yum install -y httpd. Okay, I'm going to install this version. Okay, so I'm going to sudo systemctl start httpd service. Okay, ps-ef grep httpd. So I can see it's been currently running on the behind the scenes. I want to enable system created a symbolic link to that user, and then so basically, this is why do we do this one? So this is to make sure that when you are rebooting this instance, it needs to automatically start the httpd service, right? So now how do I access that? So we do have this elastic IP which we added, so we associate that elastic IP to this one. So you can see that Apache has been already came up here. So this is the way we do configure HTTP server on an EC2 instance. So this means like you can, in case if you want to install a Tomcat, you can install a Tomcat, or various other softwares you can install it. So there are various automation tool also technologies also used to install some of these softwares on the EC2 instance directly. So in another video I can walk you through with some of those services like chef and recipes and kitchen CI, various other things, right? So that being said, so now we do have a successful EC2 instances came up here, and I'm going to now stop this instance, and then okay, I'm going to stop this instance. Okay, stopping it. So now if I go here, it's done. So one thing you need to make sure that you need to, once you stop it, you need to release or disassociate this IP address, and you need to release this elastic IP address. Otherwise, this may get charged a little bit on your account. So instance is down, but you can see there is a volumes up here. But this volumes, if you want, you can delete that, but detach the volume, and then or if you want to create a snapshot, in case and if you have this some contents you want to have it for the next time when you want to create an EC2 instance, you can create it off of the snapshots. If you click on the create snapshots, it will ask you to enter some descriptions and create a snapshot, and that will create those snapshots in your account. So if you can see that may take like a few seconds, but sometimes it's fast too, right? So for now I'm just going to release those, detach the volume, and once I have that, I think I don't need to delete that volume. That automatically get over it or disappear it after sometimes. So now if I go there, I don't see any EC2 instances running it, but I stopped it. Actually, I didn't terminate that. That is the important thing, right? Stopped and terminated is different. Stopped means like if you want, you can reinstate or restart that. But what I would do is like, if you're no longer using this EC2 instance, terminate this EC2 instance. Once you terminated it, you should be able to let's see, it might say terminated, but still you can see that EC2 instance is still there. Why? Okay, so that is because once you terminated it, there is a pool of there is some cleanup process has been AWS is executing it, and that will get cleaned it out after maybe like in 30 minutes or 20 minutes. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it take like a little more time, but once you terminate it, you don't have to worry too much. And you can go up here and then let's see whether we can delete that. Okay, you can delete the volume. Fine, so now we cleaned up everything, right? So but I still have the users up here. That's fine. So users won't charge. You can create as many. You can create more users on it, and the users won't be charged on your AWS account. Only the services, right? Yeah.